as a refresher, where is it? Here we go. This is bound to the query, which is the generic fill query in this data set. This one called fill, the first one, because it just returns all the rows. And our data grid here is just going to return all the rows. But as soon as I click on it, all of these are bound to one individual record, not all the rows. So we had to issue a query in here. And this is the one that basically brought up, we did our fill by ID. So we had to say the sandwich table adapter, fill by ID, and then fill up my sandwich data set. And for the ID, we're going to pass in the record ID that you clicked on. Remember we walked through that? That when you clicked on something, we found the record ID of that line out of the data grid, and we put it into Form 2, and when Form 2 loads, what we did is we basically pulled out just that one record from the database. And we just by pulling the query out, by executing the query, all of these fields were automatically filled in. Notice we didn't have, how are they getting filled in? Does anybody remember? Please tell me
The fill by?
Source.
right, the data bindings right here on each field is set to, has a place where we can go pick the data that it's bound to. So why do you need to know all this? Well, of course this is basically what the lab asks you to do, except you're going to do it with student data, right? And of course the lab is due Monday, so I want to give you everything you need in order to be successful with the lab. So nobody's really looked at the lab yet.
You just said Monday?
Monday, the 1st, is when the lab is due. So come tomorrow night if you want to work on the lab. I think you can probably get it done in one night, and then show it to me tomorrow night and you're done, because this lab you have to demonstrate. And if you can't come tomorrow night, then Monday after class we'll slip over to a computer lab and you can show it to me. So basically you need to have it ready by Monday morning, because I want you to demo it for me. I don't want you to just send me the code.
But you want the code also?
I do want the code, but the demo is very important to me, because I'm going to ask you some questions. So, the chapter is actually split up into 2 parts. It talks about all this database stuff for Windows forms, which is what we do, and then it actually talks about a whole bunch of the same thing for web forms, which we're not going to do at all. So if you read the chapter, you can just skip the web form stuff. There's one last piece in the chapter, link, L-I-N-Q, which is...
XML.
Yeah, you love your XML, don't you? Basically, it's just another way of pulling data out of data sets, but it does it all with code instead of using any of these uber cool, table-driven query thingies like we've been using here. So I don't know if we're going to go into it a whole lot, because Friday we're going to have a quiz, and then next week we start on the last chapter, I think, of the term, which is kind of a different set. It's just kind of advanced VB concepts. So I didn't really have anything else I wanted to talk about today besides this, and just let you guys find out if you had any questions about the lab. So anything in particular you want me to go over?
What kind of advanced concepts are you talking about?
Well, that would be something for Monday. You got to show up Monday and hear about that, right? I don't know if we'll call it advanced. Some of them are advanced. Some of them are just different topics in VB. Your book actually has a chapter. I'm just going to kind of follow through. So you can look ahead on the book. If you don't have any other questions on the database stuff, I'll close and we'll see you tomorrow night. So if you have anything, though, you can come up and ask, or ask it now. Yes?
I had a question about the on access.
Yeah.
When I tried to set it up, it went horribly wrong.
It went horribly wrong?
Yeah, I didn't really
Okay.
add them the way I wanted to.
So, did you do this? Let's do this real quick. What's the first step in creating your database project?
Blank database.
Blank database. Boom, blank database. We'll give it a name. We'll say create. Now this is the weird part. This part took me a minute. I almost almost always right-click and go directly into design view from here. First thing it's gonna do is ask for a table name. You are gonna put students. Did you get to this view, Alex?
Yeah,
Okay. So what went horribly wrong?
just when I, tried to add the field names,
Let's say like name,
yeah, like
right?
name or student ID.
Did you get that error? That's because name is actually a keyword. So
So
I
you have to
think
take
we're
the
gonna wanna call it
student name.
student name. And ID's
Oh.
already added up here, right? I think if you added ID again,
It-
you might think it's gonna work, but I bet when it saves a table, it probably don't.
Or if you
won't.
put it
Yeah,
on
oh,
number,
it's
probably
student
won't.
ID.
Yeah, exactly. Student ID.
But you'd have all the data types as text, it wouldn't be anything,
I think you can have, maybe like a zip code could be a number,
okay.
but a phone number is usually text, either that or it's a really huge number. I think maybe there was a credits or GPA, that could be a number. I think all the other ones could be text though, yeah.
Okay.
So, and then you can actually, yeah, access is really powerful. You can do things like save the table. You can go in and create forms. Has anybody ever used Access, create applications and forms? Yeah, and queries and reports, and I think they actually have a whole class on Access here, don't
Yeah,
they?
they do.
A couple of them? Yeah.
Switchboards.
Switchboards, which are menus, is that right? Now, why do you suppose we didn't do Access, and, cause you can write VB in here, can't you?
Yeah.
But it's not, as far as I know, I don't think it's VB.net. I think it's VB6 or VB5. So it's not nearly as cool. It used to be that writing applications in Access was really something that a lot of people did. And then big companies like Jeld-Wen got hundreds of these little Access databases running around, and they became impossible to manage. So now we kind of really shy away from writing a lot of stuff in Access. Because it's hard to manage and people can get in there and make changes. You can always figure out how to get into design mode, and then the user can tweak something, screw it up, so.
So you use like Oracle, or
We use Progress, which you've never heard of.
is it new?
I've heard of it.
It's actually old.
Yeah.
We bought it in the 90s, and it was old in the 90s. And it runs on,
But it's making progress.
it's not really.
Doesn't it give you guys problems
We
or
love to
something?
make that joke, we sit around and say, how you doing today? And the other person will say, I'm making progress. So, because we actually write in the language called Progress as well, so it's pretty fantastic. All of Jeld-Wen's databases, well, most of them run on big Unix machines, so big IBM AIX machines with, I don't know, 10 or 20 terabytes of storage. We have big server rooms. Jan here works down at IS, she knows how all that works.
Do you work with the web development as well, or no?
I don't. I used to, but I don't anymore, so. I used to be smart, but now I work in marketing, so. All right, well, I didn't have anything else. I guess we'll see you guys tomorrow night.